Hi, my name is Mark and you're watching Noah's Narrative where everything feels real and something hides deeper. Today's story is too much real and too much magically influence on our mind. So subscribe this channel because this is the too much real story which can change your life entirely. The woman who made magic happen. Beverly Hartman had a way of doing things that most people would call extra, but she preferred the word thorough when something mattered to her. She gave it her full attention, not halfway, not with one eye on the cost, but completely and without apology. That was simply how she was built, and at 64 years old, she had no intention of changing it. Our granddaughter Lily was turning 16 in May, and the moment Beverly heard the girl mentioned quickly, almost shyly, over Christmas dinner, that what she really wanted was a backyard party with lights and real food and maybe some live music. Beverly had put down her fork and started making a mental list. Lily had not expected anyone to act on it. Beverly could see that clearly in the girl's eyes, the way teenagers mention big dreams while bracing themselves for a polite nod and nothing more. Beverly had raised a son. She understood that particular kind of quit hoping. By February, Beverly had driven out to Patrick and Simon's property in a quiet suburb outside Swana and walked the backyard herself, measuring the space with her eyes, imagining the layout. The yard was generous, backed by tall oak trees and a wooden fence that had gold bones. She could see exactly what it could become. She found a tent company that did proper sailcloth tents, an elegant white kind with wooden poles and warm lighting strung through the frame, not the plastic canopy nonsense that sagged in the heat. She booked them with a deposit and handshake over the phone. She called a caterer, Rosalind, a woman she had used twice before and trusted completely. Rosalind did a southern spread that felt like Sunday dinner stretched into something celebrity. Brisket, roasted vegetables, homemade rolls, 3 kinds of pie. People talked about her food long after the event ended. Beverly found a small acoustic band through a music teacher at her church, 2 guitarists and a fiddle player who could do everything from soft background melodies to something you actually wanted to dance to. She booked them for 4 hours. She ordered flowers from a florist in the historic district, ivory, garden roses, and soft lavender stems because Lily had shown Beverly her inspiration board one afternoon in March with the studied casualness of someone who wanted something very much and was too young to ask directly. Beverly looked at every image on that board and remembered all of it. The total came to just over $22,000. She paid it without drama. Raymond, her late husband, had left her comfortable, and she had always believed that money sitting still did less good than money moving towards something meaningful. This was meaningful. This was Lily. Patrick knew in general terms. He said the usual things. Mom, you really don't have to do all this. And Beverly said what she always said. I know that. And they moved on. Simon had been included on a group message with a vendor update since the beginning of the planning. She had responded to 2 of those messages with a thumbs up emoji. Nothing more. Beverly had taken the silence as contentment and continued working. 11 days before the party, a text arrived on Tuesday afternoon while Beverly was reporting tomato seedlings on her back porch. She whipped her hands on her garden apron and picked up the phone. She read the message once, then again. Lily wants her party to feel young and fun, not old-fashioned. She doesn't want older guests making it feel like a family reunion. You are not on the guest list. Please don't make this difficult. Beverly set the phone face down on the patio table. She looked out at her garden for a long moment. The tomatoes were doing well this year. The roses along the fence were starting to open. Somewhere down the street, a neighbor's dog was barking at someone inconsequential. She picked the phone back up. She did not call Simon. She did not call Patrick. She opened her contacts and started at the top of the vendor list. Her hands were steady. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm and clear. She had made her decision before she dialed the first number, and it was not made in anger. Though there was anger present, it was made in the quick, certain knowledge of what she deserved. The morning, everything was missing. Beverly slept well that night, which surprised her a little and then did not surprise her at all. She had made 6 calls in under an hour. The tent company was first. She explained there had been a change in family circumstances and the event would not be going forward. The deposit was gone. She knew that. She accepted it without argument. The remaining balance was released. The woman on the phone said she was sorry to hear it. Beverly thanked her and moved on. Rosalind at the catering company was next. She had been warm and a little concerned, asking if everything was all right. Beverly told her it was, that this was simply how things had worked out, and that she would absolutely call her again for the next occasion. She meant it. None of this was Rosalind's business, and none of it was her fault. The florist, the acoustic band, the specialty lighting company she had hired to come the morning of the party, and the string additional warm bulbs through the oak trees along the back fence. One by one, each booking dissolved quickly and completely. By 4:30 that Tuesday afternoon, the party no longer existed in any practical sense. The deposit she had lost came to just under $4,000. Beverly looked at that number for a moment when she teared it up, then set the notepad aside. $4,000 for absolutely clarity about where she stood seemed, on reflection, like a reasonable exchange. She took her old dog, Winston, for a long walk through the neighborhood as the evening cooled. Winston was 12 years old, a slow-moving basset hound who approached every outing with the deep seriousness of someone completing important work. Beverly matched his pace and let her mind settle. She made a simple dinner when she got home, a bowl of vegetable soup from the pot she kept going most of the week, a piece of roundup from the bakery 2 streets over, a glass of sweet tea on the porch while the light faded. Gloria from the next door called around 8 to chat about the neighborhood garden club, and Beverly talked with her to 20 minutes about nothing consequential and felt genuinely at peace. She went to bed at 9:30 and slept without interruption. She was in the garden the next Saturday morning, the actual morning of the party, kneading in the soft dirt between her paper plants. When the phone began, it was just after 8. Patrick's name on the screen. Beverly sat back on her heels and looked at it. She let it ring. She was not ready yet, not because she was afraid of the conversation, but because she wanted to be fully present for it when it came. And right now, the pepper plants needed attention, and the morning was beautiful, and she had earned this particular quit. He called again, then 4 more times in 15 minutes. Then someone's name appeared, and Beverly felt something shift ever slightly in her chest. Not weakness, just recognition. She set the phone in the pocket of her apron and kept working. Someone called 3 more times, then Patrick again 6 times in the quick succession. The calls coming faster now, which told Beverly everything she needed to know about what was happening on that property in the suburbs at 8 in the morning on a Saturday. The tent had not arrived because there was no tent company coming. The captors were not pulling into the driveway because they had no reason to. Rosalind was likely spending her Saturday in her own kitchen doing something she enjoyed. The florist was not loading ivory roses into a van. The band had their day free. Beverly came inside when she was ready. She washed her hands at the kitchen sink, watching the dark garden soil swirl away down the drain. She poured herself a glass of cold water and sat down at the kitchen table, the same table where she had sat 11 days ago and made those 6 calls. She waited a few more minutes, then she called Patrick back. He answered before the first ring had finished. His voice was doing the quick thing it did when he was upset. That careful, controlled tone that Beverly had known since he was a teenager and that had always been harder to manage than simple volume. Mom, the tent company says you cancelled. The caterer says you cancelled the floors, the band, all of it. The parties today, Lily's friends start coming at 4 o'clock. Beverly let him finish completely. She did not interrupt. She waited until the silence told her he was done. Someone told me I was not invited, she said. I assumed that meant the arrangements would be handled by the people doing the inviting. The silence on the other end was a specific kind of silence. The kind that means someone is processing something they already knew but had hoped would not be said out loud. The deposits are gone. Beverly continued. That's not something anyone can fix today. The vendors were booked under my name and cancelled by me, so there is nothing to dispute. I want you to understand that I did not do this to punish Lily. I did it because I was told clearly that my presence was unwanted, and I took that seriously. Mom, Patrick, her voice was even not cold but precise. Your wife sent me a text message calling me an old cast who would ruin your daughter's day. I paid for the tent, the food, the flowers, and the music. I spent months on this. I deserved a phone call. I deserved to be spoken to like a person who matters. Silence again. When you are ready to talk about that part, Beverly said, I'm here. I love you. I love Lily. Call me when things have settled. She ended the call and set the phone on the table. Outside the window, her garden sat quietly in the morning light, green and unhurried and exactly as she had left it. The quick kind of repair, the party happened. Beverly knew it would, because people find a way when they have no other choice, and because 16 years old deserve their day regardless of what the adults around them have managed to ruin. Patrick scrambled. She heard the details later from Gloria, who had heard them from her daughter, who knew someone in that neighborhood, a catering company that handled last-minute corporate events, agreed to send over what they could on short notice: deli platters, sandwich trays, store-bought cookies arranged on paper plates, functional foods, the kind that fills a table without filling a room with warmth. They rented a canopy from a party supply warehouse, the plastic kind, white with metal poles, the sort of thing that works adequately for a backyard barbecue but looks noticeably thin against what had been planned. It went up crooked the first time and had to come down and go up again. Someone connected a phone to a portable speaker for music. Lily Beverly was told made a joke about the tent falling through the kept dancing anyway. That detail landed somewhere tender inside Beverly's chest when she heard it. She sat with it for a while on her porch that evening. Winston asleep across her feet, the neighborhood going quiet around her. Lily had taken something diminished and carried it with grace, and Beverly loved her for what that completely, and also felt the particular grief of knowing that the girl's grace had been made necessary by her mother's cruelty. That was not a comfortable thing to sit with. Beverly sat with. In any way, the weeks after the party were quiet between the families. Patrick sent a short message a few days later saying that things had been difficult and that he needed some time. Beverly replied that she understood and that she was not going anywhere. She meant both things equally. Someone did not reach out for 6 weeks. When the message finally came, it was a text shorter than the original one, worded with one careful precision of someone who had likely drafted it several times. It acknowledged that the situation had become complicated. It said that things could have been handled better. It stopped just short of direct apology in the way that certain people stop just short of things, as though the full step is too costly to take all at once. Beverly read it twice. She set her phone down and went to water her garden. She thought about what she wanted to say and whether she wanted to say it yet. She thought about Raymond, who had always told her that the most powerful response to a half measure was a full one, not because it shamed the other person, but because it preserved your own character. The next morning she wrote back. She said, "Thank you for reaching out. When you are ready to talk in person, I would like that, a real conversation, face to face without screens between us. I think some things need to be said properly." Someone had not responding to that yet. Beverly was not in a hurry. What came first was Patrick. He arrived on a Saturday afternoon, 3 weeks after a party alone. No call ahead, just a knock on Beverly's front door at 2 in the afternoon. Her son standing on the porch in a plain shirt, with the look of someone who had been rehearsing something the whole drive over. Beverly made coffee. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table that had witnessed the phone calls, the same table where Beverly had sat on the morning of the party and listened to her son's careful, controlled voice on the other end of the line. The table had seen a lot of things springs. Patrick wrapped both hands around his mug and looked at it for a moment. Then he said, "I should have called you, and when she sent that message, I knew about it before she sent it, and I should have stopped it. I did not, and that is on me." Beverly looked at her son. He was 39 years old and had his father's eyes and a habit of carrying guilt quality for too long before setting it down. She recognized the weight on him now. "I know," she said. "I was wrong. It was wrong," he said. "The whole thing, that way it was done, what it said, all of it. It was." Beverly agreed. She did not soften it. She also did not sharpen it further. It was enough to simply confirm the truth without twisting it into something that could. They talked for 2 hours, not about the party mostly. They talked about Patrick's work, about a project he was proud of, about a weekend trip he and Lily had taken to the coast. Where Lily had collected shells and talked his ear off about a book she was reading. They talked about Raymond briefly and warmly, the way they something did on Sunday when the mood was right. They talked about Beverly's garden and whether the tomatoes would do well this year, or whether the summer it would be unkind. It was the most that they had talked in months, maybe longer. Beverly poured second cups and did not count the minutes. When Patrick stood to leave, he hugged her at the door, the real kind, both arms and some duration. Beverly held on for a moment and then let go. She stood on the porch and watched his car back out of the driveway and disappear down the street. Winston sat beside her, doing his serious considering of the middle distance. There were still conversations ahead that had not happened. There was still a daughter-in-law who had not yet found her way to a real apology. There was still a relationship that needed tending before it could properly heal. Beverly understood all that clearly and without resentment. But there was also this a Sunday afternoon that had felt like something returning. A son who had come to her table and told the truth, a granddaughter who had danced anyway. Beverly had spent $22,000 trying to give Lily something beautiful. She had lost $4,000 in deposits learning where the real boundaries were, and she had gained in the strange accounting of family life something harder to put a number on. The clear-eyed knowledge of what she would have had and would not accept, and the steady peace that came from having acted on it without drama, without cruelty, and without apology. She went back inside, she finished her coffee, she started thinking about what she might plant along the back fence before the summer arrived. Some things she had always believed grew better after hard season. Thank you so much.